couldn't honestly let the night go by without dropping a Froch and Bellew vid, and I'm gonna start out trying to make one vid, and if it ends up being too long, then I guess I'll just cut it in half, but we'll see. Anyway, so we'll start with the first fight that happened, which was Bellew versus. I'm not gonna try and remember the guy's name because I don't really care. Because it doesn't matter who it was. It could have been some bum that nobody cares about, like it was, or it could have been some great fighter that Bellew had fought. What he did, or the circumstances that arose in that fight, I think unless you're a hater, I think you have to have a higher opinion of Bellew from watching that. I mean, he came out wanting to knock his opponent out. Guy caught him, cut him real bad. And because it was from a punch, if Bellew had continued to go in as reckless as he was going in, and he would have got caught just a couple more times, I'm positive of it. You know, that if he would have continued doing what he was doing, they were gonna stop it because of that cut, and it would have been a KO or TKO loss for Bellew. That wouldn't have been good. That wouldn't have been good for him or his career. And quite honestly, even though it made for perhaps a less exciting fight, you know, Bellew had to box. He couldn't go in there slugging away and trying to get dude out of there. He had to box, and he did. And he racked up round after round. Now, some of it was due to oh boy's inactivity, sure, but I think that inactivity also spurred from the fact that Bellew does hit hard, and if he made a mistake, then Bellew was going to capitalize it, especially being in Bellew's position where I think if he felt he had the opportunity to end the fight, Bellew really wanted to. I mean, there was a couple times where he got less cautious and started taking more risks, even with that cut, because I don't know, maybe he felt like there was an opening that he had to get in there and knock him out, but it didn't come. But he boxed his way to a win, even with a horrible, terrible cut, and showed that he doesn't have just a plan A, and that he can execute plan A and plan B accordingly. Yeah, the execution on plan A, to be fair, wasn't really that great. He was sloppy going in there trying to slug it out, but sometimes higher caliber boxers get into a mentality leading up to the fight that there's something that they're supposed to do, just like we fans expect them to do things a certain way, and if things don't turn out that way, then we as fans tend to be real critical. I'm that way, so perhaps he was looking to go in there to knock the guy out because that's what he was expected to do. That's what he was supposed to do. If he was going to get his credit, that was what had to happen. But realizing that wasn't working and that he suffered as an effect of him, as a side effect of him coming in sloppy, he suffered, got the cut. I'm not sure that would have happened if he would have boxed like he ended up doing. If he would have done that from the get-go, then perhaps he wouldn't have got the cut in the first place. Regardless, he did get the cut, and he switched it up. He had to. The cut forced him to, but he did it wonderfully. As far as seeing Tony Bellew against Chad Dawson, sorry, I don't. I think Bellew is exciting, but I think there's a certain level of fighter that he's just not going to beat. The Cleverly fight was great. I think in a rematch as of now, though, I still take Cleverly in that fight. So looking at Chad Dawson, he's coming off the loss to Ward, sure. It wasn't that Ward beat him. It was the way Ward beat him. is what has got people's opinions of Chad Dawson even lower than they were before, because they were already pretty low. I was a fan of Chad's, and I still am. But before the Ward fight, I said I didn't like the fight because it was at 168. And perhaps because I had a biased opinion of it going into the fight, it looked to me like that's what had happened. It didn't look to me like at 168 Dawson really had any energy level whatsoever, especially after the second round. He just didn't look like he had anything in the tank. Now, I know we don't know, Dawson can be a snoozer from time to time. He can put you to sleep from time to time. Hell, he goes to sleep himself in the ring and has to get woken up by a punch or two on occasion. But against Ward, I just felt that it could be a different fight at 175. Perhaps Ward still wins. Looking at the fight, I couldn't pick Dawson even at 175, but I think he would make a better account of himself. Now, why I'm bringing that up and leading it into Tony Bellew is because now we have talk of Tony Bellew versus Chad Dawson. Apparently, one more fight, another eliminator. That's what I'm hearing from the other channels. I haven't really kept up. Bellew's a UK fighter. I can't claim to know him that well, but he's pretty popular over there from what I can tell. The talk of him versus Chad Dawson, I guess we'll have to see, hopefully, if Dawson has a fight in the meantime, in between time, and at 175, and see, if he's back to normal. I don't know. I can't see Bellew beating Dawson. But, I mean, if Dawson looks at 175 like he did at 168 against Ward, there's a lot of people that are going to beat Dawson, and Bellew could do it. But to me, that's a matter of whether or not Dawson is still on his game at 175, as opposed to whether or not Bellew is good enough to beat him. It all depends on Dawson, in my opinion, not Bellew. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, we might have to split this one up, but I don't know if I feel like throwing this in the editor. All right, so we'll move on. Let me get a drink real quick and light a smoke. Carl Froch, Yusuf Mack. Now we all knew what was going to happen in this fight. Come on now. Anybody who was picking Mack was picking Mack because they live in a fucking fantasy land that no one else can comprehend. I mean, there was absolutely no fucking way Carl Froch was going to lose this fight. It was just a matter of how he was going to win. And he was going to win by knockout. And this fucking fight was not going to last long. Come on, let's be real. Let's be honest. There was no reason to do a prediction on this fight. There was no point in it because this fight was a done deal from the moment it got signed. It doesn't really matter, though. As many good fights as Froch has taken up to this point, nobody can really hate on him choosing to fight Yusuf Mack right now. And, he's got to do something while he waits on whether or not he's going to fight Bute again or Kessler again or, get a rematch with Ward, which I'm not interested in, by the way, but perhaps we can save that for another vid or later. What made it great was how Froch handled Mack. I mean, he fucking manhandled him. I mean, yeah, it looked a little, pitter-patter, tit for tat in the first round. But Froch was getting the better of him even then. And then, I mean, he blasted Yusuf out of the water. And the best thing about that fight was the body punch that took Yusuf Mack out. I mean, jeez, man. Holy shit. That was a beautiful fucking body shot. That was a rib-crunching fucking body shot. It was absolutely fantastic. And in my opinion, he landed two great body shots followed by a real good hook, all in that same sequence before Mack went down. He landed that that real cracking right to the ribs, and then he also landed what looked like a left hook to the other side of the gut, and then it also looked like he landed another left hook to the head. But I think 2 of those punches weren't even fucking necessary. I don't think Mac was going to get up after that first punch. And what I mean was, as soon as Froch's fist touched, you can see it in the replay. Mac immediately bent down. He was immediately in pain, and I think he was already going to go down. I think the moment he tried to get back up, he was going to realize he was still in pain and go right down. But it was a beautiful body shot, and please let's not have a Bute rematch. There's no fucking need for it. Did you see the Grachev fight? Come on, they both took easy fights, and this is the difference between them. Bute is not an A-level fighter. There's no fucking point in that fight. None at all. Not unless you have a fucking hard-on for seeing Bute get his fucking ass knocked out again. There's no reason for that fight. Give me the Kessler rematch all day long. I would love to see that rematch. And after that, if Froch wants to fight Ward, like I said, I'm not interested in it. But if Froch goes in there and dominates Kessler, then I could say, well, maybe Froch, took a bit of a breather and got refreshed. He could give Ward a run for his money again. But more than likely it'll just end up the same way it did last time. But as for the Kessler rematch, I really want to see that one. I think that'd be a great fight. All right, then. You guys let me know what you think, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. On a side note, before I click the end of this, I saw, because I get on YouTube after fights all the time, that the other match that happened, Valoria versus, fuck, I can't remember. I heard Fight of the Year candidate, so maybe before I go to bed tonight, I'm gonna have to check that fight out on So.